Okay, it looks like we're live. Hello. It looks like we have a bunch of people already in the chat room. So nice to see everybody again. So, how's everybody doing? We have rain here in Oregon. Right now it's around 60 degrees and raining and cloudy. But last weekend we had our first 2 days of summer. We got up to 80 degrees. So that was kind of nice. So, anyways, last week we did the tie-dye Sun Tapestries. So I have two of the suns that I will be auctioning off today, and I will have one more that I added in. This one is tie-dye orbs. I'll show that one later, but tie-dye orbs, one that I dyed last year. And I just thought, what the heck? You guys seem to be interested in doing more bidding on tapestries, so I thought I would just add an extra one in and see how it goes. So anyways, this here is the Sun Tapestry number 1. This is the one that I folded and dyed the first, and then, so this is the one that we'll start with. I'm going to go ahead and open the bidding up on this, and then I'll probably close it when I get done tying the first tapestry. So you guys can bid in the chat room there. I'll try to keep an eye on that. I'll also try to keep up and do some shout outs for everybody. So looks like we have more people checking in. Sunny in Washington, yay, I love the sun. Sunny in 68, North Carolina. Yep, got my braid bearded, or my beard braided, something like that. Yeah, because I thought we were going to be going back into warm weather, so my lady started braiding my beard for me again, but oh well. It'll be warm again soon. So we got a bunch more people checking in. Hi Marin, Andrew's here, Jessica, Vic, Christine, Gwen, Saucy Mare. Oh yeah, you're in Wells, so it's late there. I still haven't gotten an earlier one done yet, but North Carolina, Ohio, sunny in Washington. Hi from New Orleans. So let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So like I say, the bid for the first tapestry, that's opened up right now, and we're gonna start tie-dyeing. So I told you I had a couple dream inspired ideas. So one of them, I don't know if it was in a dream or a meditation, but let's see. Nope, I have more crystals and stones in here. This is my medicine bag, so I use it for extra energy. So the tapestry that I'm going to tie first, the best I can equate it to would be like a, it just slipped my mind now, a crop circle. So what I saw was a circle with bars going out and more circles going around. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring this out both ways here, and then probably from the center I'm going to go up the line here. So that's going to put 4 of these circles on, and then 4 of these bars coming straight out. So what I have right now is a tapestry that's been soaked in soda ash. I've spun it out so it's barely damp. That's usually my folding preference, and most of the time that's the way I dye it too, unless I have a bunch of layers. But we're going to keep it short this time. So let's see, we got more people checking in from Cresswell and Houston. Let's see, oh, everybody liked the video. Yes, I like that idea. So anyways, what I have here is a tapestry that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out, and then I folded it into quarters. So let's flip it around here so you guys can see all the parts. So it's folded in half this way, and then folded in quarters. And this here is the center. I usually will go ahead and put a little blue dot in the center just to make sure that I don't lose track of it. I don't know if you guys can see that here or not, but there's a little blue dot there. That tells me that's the middle of the tapestry. So, excuse me, get a drink of water. What I'm going to do to start with is get the, oops, well, I'm going to try to scroll back. There we go. Oh, we got Simon from France. Hello, or bonjour. Raining in Indiana. Nice to see you, Eric. Glad you made it here. Thank you, Marin, on my braid. Yes, my lady loves to do that for me, and she can see my jawline, and this really keeps it up off my chest for the hot days. Okay, so what I'm going to do, here's once again the center. That's where I'm going to start at here. And I'm just going to kind of draw this according to how I seen it in my meditation or my dream. And then see if we can fold it up. I haven't done one of these before, so you guys said you were open for experiments, so this is one of my experiments here. Or inspired ideas, or whatever you want to call it. So I usually, for drawing my partial circles, I tie a string. I just do a loose slip knot on here, and then I attach it to one of my washable markers. The ones I use most often are from Crayola or Crazy Art. So those are the two brands that I most often use for the washable markers. The one main difference is the Crazy Art, or the Crayola has a finer tip. The Crazy Art has a thicker tip. So that's the only real difference. They both work great. So anyways, I'm going to draw a partial circle down here. So I'm just going to put this down right at the dot here for the center of the tapestry, and I'm going to draw my partial circle on. So I'm going to draw two of them, one short one. The main thing to do when you're doing your circle is to not tip your pen, because that'll make your circle go wonky. So once I start drawing, I try to keep my pen in the same position, not tip it at all. And then we're going to go out and draw a second circle. Okay, so this here is going to be my inner circle of my crop circle. I guess that's what I'm going to call this, because it did really look like a crop circle, and I'm going to dye this in shades of green. So let's take that off. And it looks like we have some bidding going on. I think I seen something. Did I? Oh, nope, I guess not. So there's still no bids on the first Sun Tapestry. So, okay, Emily said she'll start the bid at 50. Thank you, Emily. Okay, so now the next part, I'm going to draw just a straight line. I'm just taking my straight edge and a ruler just to kind of draw straight up a little bit. And then, let's see here. I'm going to draw another circle out here. I need to see how much space I have left here. So maybe I'll go a little bit further. I'm going to stop this right here. I'm just kind of figuring this out as I go and measuring. And then I'm going to draw my circle out to here. That's at 14 inches. So I'm going to put a mark on my tapestry right at 7 inches there. So that's going to, this here distance from this line to this line is 14 inches. And there's my center spot. And then I'm going to do the old, oh, I pulled the slip knot out. Hey, Trip Life, glad you made it. Okay. So you guys will see this slowly come to life. Like I say, this was just in my dream or meditation. So I don't have a picture of what this will look like yet. We're just going to create this and see what happens. And this next one, I'm just kind of guesstimating, doing about the same size circle as I did there in the center, the same diameter. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat this on the other side too. Get myself untangled here. There we go. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Hey, hey, hey. Shannon's in the house. Hello from Utah. I love your tutorials. Thank you. I love making them. I'd love to see other people have success with this art. So it's been a lot of fun to make these. Oop, I went too far on that. We'll measure that out too. See where we're at. Okay, this one's going to be a little shorter, so I'm going to draw this here out at 12 inches, so I'm making a dot at 6 inches, and that's where I'll draw my circles from. Yeah, the number doesn't always change. On mine right now, it says we have 58 people watching. I'm not sure if it just needs to update sometimes or what, but while I'm doing the video, I don't want to try and update my screen. So we'll just let it run there. Okay, a little bit more, and then we're going to start folding this thing. Okay, so now we can start folding this up. So those are all my parts. Like I say, so I have the two circles, or half circles are going to be full circles once I'm done there, and then the circle in the center. So I'm going to fold along these lines here and then in here and tie this all up in the middle. Oh, and I do want to draw a line up the middle here. Keep this on the screen. Okay, I'm just kind of eyeballing this, just trying to make a line up the center. This one I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fold it in there or not. But if I am, then I want to make sure that I have a nice line that I can fold along there. So for sure I'm going to fold the two circles, and then I'm going to try to get this line in the middle too. Okay. Let's see, it looks like we have some questions coming in already. And let me check on the bid on the tapestry. I think our opening bid was from Emily at 50. Yes, I see 50 on there. Let's see. Tutorials, chat. Minus 59. You said crop circles, but you look like you're doing a corona. I don't know. I'm like I say, to me it came in a vision. It was just this kind of shape, and I seen it in shades of green, so that's why I'm calling it a crop circle. There's going to be 4 of these circles and then 4 of these bars, hopefully, with the center circle. So I'm going to dye it in 2 shades of green. That's why I'm calling it a crop circle. But I guess, Saucy Mare, you're over there in Wales, you said. You guys get a lot more crop circles than we do. So you're probably more of an expert on them than I am. Hello from Florida, new to tie-dyeing, so I have some questions. Yeah, you can go ahead and ask the questions here in the chat box, and I try to answer them as we go. If it's too detailed of a question, then I ask that you email that to me, but a bunch of questions I can answer right here live while I'm doing tie-dye. Ready for the reveal already? Yeah, me too. It was one that it came to me right after we finished up with the last live video, and I almost wanted to tie it up and dye it back then, but I thought, no, this will be a great one to do on live video, so I held myself off and waited for you guys. Okay, best place to buy dye. I like Dharma, but I'm on the West Coast. The other two places I bought from is Custom Colors in North Carolina and Grateful Dyes in Colorado. And it's the fiber reactive Procyon dyes that you want to look for. Let's see, start dyeing this. Thanks to you. You're welcome. I'm glad that I was able to help you. That's my main goal, is to help or inspire people to create and to improve their work. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to start folding this now and see if I can keep up with the chat box here. So I'm just going to do little pleats here. This one here I'm probably going to do a little bit taller of a one than what I normally do, just because I'm going to fold this whole line all the way here. I don't like to do too short when I'm doing a long run. So I do, this one here is probably about an inch tall that I'm doing. And my main thing when I'm pleating is just trying to take this line that's down here and just lay it flat up against there, and that helps keep the line straight on the top here. You put urea in your dye. Sometimes I do, but for the first 10 years of dyeing, I just mixed it with plain water. And then I got around to making dye water, where urea and salt were two of the ingredients in that. But then I stopped doing quite as much dye, and the jugs were sitting around for too long and it was going bad. So now I add urea every now and then. So if I'm mixing it right in when I'm mixing up a bottle of dye, I usually put 1 tablespoon for 16 ounces of dye, 2 tablespoons for 32. That's usually what I do, is mix up 32 ounces of a color. So I'll put 2 tablespoons of urea in there if I'm going to use it, but I don't always use it. Let's see. Glad to see everybody chatting in the chat box there. And it's also nice to see when other people are helping out. Yeah, the urea is a wetting agent. So what Trip Life says about being down in Arizona, they're in a really dry climate, and the urea being a wetting agent is going to help keep your dyes wetter longer, and that allows the dyes to set up. If your dyes dry out after your t-shirts with the dye on it, if they dry out, then the dye isn't working much anymore. So keeping them moist is a good thing. I put mine in a tub, and here in Oregon that's usually enough. But the urea also helps you mix greater quantities of powdered dye into your water. So that's one of the main reasons I use it. So like for my blacks, I'll use the urea. Let's see. I haven't seen any of the bids come in, so yes, Laura, I believe the high bid on the tapestry now is still sitting at 50. Let's see. Oh, was the Vision the news? Nope, I don't watch the news. It's too depressing, and they usually spin the stories however they want, not how they actually are. So I don't watch the news. Looks like Andrew has bid $70 for the Star Tapestry #1. So thank you, Andrew. Okay, so now I'm down to the end there, that run. So I made this little pleat just a little bit shorter, because I always like the end of my run to be on the downward side, and that allows me then to take this piece here and fold it up at the 45-degree angle so that I can match this line with this line. So that's why I like to end my runs on the downward side, and sometimes to do that I will do a short pleat, so that end of the pleat is right there instead of all the way down at the table. So I'm going to fold this line up, and then we're going to continue folding here. And then I just realized that I was supposed to start with the center here. So I think what I'm going to do is just put a rubber band on this for right now and fold that center up. I got a little carried away in my tie in here. Okay, so that will hold that in place. Right now I'm going to go ahead and tie both of these circles, because once these are tied, then I can bring this last line down here, and I want to tie it off right here. So this one here, I can start with smaller pleats because I'm doing a shorter run on this. Okay, we have a $75 bid from Tie-Dye with Ernie Cox, so thank you. And let's see. Yeah, the urea is, I go heavy on it just because, but I usually use more than what's required of the dye and the urea and everything. I just go heavy on mine, but that's not what's needed. So you could probably get away with 1 tablespoon for 32 ounces of dye, and a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons, so probably 1.5 teaspoons for 16 ounces of dye. Do you rinse and wash your dyes in cold water? I do the initial rinsing in cold water, and that's to wash away the soda ash, because the soda ash is what activates the dyes. So before you start releasing more of the excess dyes, you want to get that soda ash gone. Then I turn the water up to warm, which then encourages more of the dye to come out. And then that's when I start untying them or removing the bands. And then once the water starts looking like it's running semi-clear, then I'll go ahead and drop that in the wash machine, and I have that filled up with hot water with Synthropol in it. I know some dyers use Blue Dawn. I just happen to use Synthropol. So, but I already have the washer partially filled with the Synthropol and hot water, and then I do one quick wash in hot water, and then I'll do a quick rinse on that, just kind of spraying the hose down into the washer, and then I'll do 2 more long soak cycles with the hot wash and Synthropol. Although on the second and third washes I don't use as much Synthropol as the first load. The first load, because there's so much excess dyes, I use a lot of Synthropol. So to answer your question, I rinse in cold water and then I wash in hot water. And the hot water just helps encourage the excess dyes that haven't bonded to release and be washed away. Okay, so I got my center tied up. Now I'm going to go back to folding this, and I'm just going to kind of poke this last crease up right here next to my center. So that's where I'm going to end up at, and then tie that off. Lockdown affected your tie-dye routine? Oh, how has it affected? Mostly, I mean, it has affected it some, but not a whole lot. Mostly adding these live videos in has been the biggest change. So I do spend a lot of time trying to get set up for and do these live videos, but I have a lot of fun with that. So probably after the lockdown, I'm going to continue doing these live videos. But other than that, I've been kind of mostly a stay-at-home person for the last couple of years, just doing personal growth work. So now I just stay home more often. So it hasn't really affected me a whole lot, and I've converted most of my sales that I do to online. I haven't been doing any festivals or music fests or anything like that for a few years. So it hasn't affected my sales. I know there's a bunch of dyers that they do a lot of these festivals and they've been canceled, and that's no fun. But like I say, that hasn't affected me because haven't been doing the festivals. So. Yeah, my wash routine is just something that I learned a little bit from my ex-wife when I first learned how to do tie-dye, and then I just kind of adjusted my washing over the years and just kind of figured out what worked best for me. And once I started getting on Facebook and stuff and finding out more dyers how they do it, you know, I kind of make a little bit of adjustments and stuff, but pretty much that's how I do it. But there's lots of different ways. I know if you ask 10 dyers, you'll probably get 10 different answers on the proper way to wash out your tie-dyes. But that's a lot because this art has been so secretive for so long, and now it's coming more out into the public view. Let's see. Good to hear you're a good live streamer. Oh, thank you. I wasn't too sure about live streaming at first just because I'm such a shy person, but I've gotten used to it and I do have a lot of fun. And it's been fun to just chat with everybody in the chat box here. Oh, I lost track of, let's see, last thing I seen was 75. Let me take a quick peek. Yeah, 75 is the high bid right now. And when I get this tapestry all tied up, we're going to close out the bidding for tapestry number 1. And we'll move on to Sun Tapestry number 2. So let me get back down to the bottom here. Do you know or have a reptile skin tie-dye pattern? I have one that I call dragon scale. Some people call it mermaid scales or fish scales. But if you look up dragon scale on my channel, you'll find the one that I'm talking about. And it looks like it's about the same for everybody. I'm not sure if that would fit into your reptile or not, but that's the one that I have right now I can think of that would probably be close to that. Let's see. Do you do the Portland Saturday market when it's open? No, I actually, when I first moved out to Salem, Oregon, I did hear about the Saturday market up in Portland, and I went up there and I applied, and they told me that my dyes didn't meet the quality standards for their market, so they turned me down. So I just set up at the Salem Saturday market, and then that turned out to be just a really good thing for me because the Saturday market up in Portland takes a little bit more planning because it was about an hour and a half north of me, and then getting up there and parking and everything, just learned my way around the city. I went up and visited it a couple of times, but I never did set up a booth up there. And the one in Salem turned out to be a really good market for me, and I still have people that used to buy from me at the market that now they buy online from me. So quite often I'll ship a tie-dye down to Salem because one of my customers from the market is down there. Okay. What was your first tie-dye pattern, if you can remember it? I'm thinking it'd probably be the rainbow spiral. I think that's like a first for a lot of people, and that's what I learned first, and that and the scrunch pattern, and then from there just kind of expanded out, and I love to experiment and try new things. I've done tie-dye baseball caps, interesting challenges. Yes, baseball caps I usually will just scrunch up the hat part of it, and then the bill I just kind of drip dye on there. Not a whole lot you can do with a baseball cap. Let's see. If you have hard water, then distilled water can improve your dyes before spending a lot of money. Oh, okay. You guys are talking. I appreciate you guys helping out. I don't have any problems with my water, so I don't know anything about having hard water or anything. So I appreciate those who know answering the questions. You're a natural teacher. I lost it there. I'm the worst at trying to explain the how-tos of tie-dyeing. Part of the reason I'm such a natural teacher with this is I put myself on the spot and I started doing tie-dye in the schools, where I had, you know, a group of 20 to 25 kids standing around me, all asking questions, and I'm trying to explain what I'm doing and answer their questions. So 16 years of doing that, and yes, I became a natural teacher of tie-dye. So it really did set me up perfectly to do these videos. If I hadn't done the tie-dye in the schools, I might not have been ready to do these videos. So thank you. I do consider myself a natural teacher now, at least with this art. My 7-year-old daughter has also expressed her love for tie-dye. I'm thinking about doing some projects with her. That's awesome. Yes, like I say, I love doing tie-dye with kids, and this is an art that anybody can do. So yes, I applaud that and I encourage it. Let's see. Thank you for what you did. We appreciate you helping find this creative side. Yes, you're welcome. I'd love to help and inspire people. And shout out to Mickey Swank for the introduction. Yes, thank you, Mickey. Like I say, I encourage everybody to share my channel and my Facebook pages or whatever with people who are interested in learning how to tie-dye, because with the videos I can help people all around the world. And I use Google Translate quite often to help in a conversation when I'm trying to explain something. Just last week I was helping a woman in France. She was doing a reverse dye, and so we chatted back and forth on Instagram for a while, and I helped her kind of figure out how best she could apply the bleach and everything to get the design that she was wanting. So anyways, I think I got off topic here. Does anyone have advice as a beginner? A lot of people would probably say, watch MrTieDye. Yep, Jessica said that. Thank you, Jessica. What does soda ash do? I've never used it, and just do it without it. With these fiber reactive dyes that I use, the soda ash is what activates them and causes the dye to bond with the cotton fibers. Are you using tulip dyes or RIT dyes? If so, or sometimes the one-step tie-dye kits. Those all are either a different kind of dye, or they have the soda ash mixed in with the dye. So if you want to get better colors out of your tie-dye, then it's advisable to invest in some of the Procyon dyes. And then with the Procyon dyes, that's where you'll need to use the soda ash. And like I say, I always will do a pre-soak on mine. So this tapestry, I soaked it in soda ash for 20 minutes. But you can also tie everything up and then soak it in soda ash and then just spin out the excess. A lot of people like to do it that way. If they have any kind of allergies to the soda ash, they can work with a tapestry that's just plain water and tie everything up without their gloves, and then they can put gloves on and then soak it in a bucket of soda ash. And then also you can get it wet, tie it, dye it, and then you can add your soda ash on top. You can just squirt it on like you would from the bottle of dye. So the main thing is that the soda ash comes in contact with the dye and the cotton at some point before you do your batching, because that's when the dyes are going to be active and wanting to grab onto something. Let's see. Tie-dyeing with kids is awesome. They're so eager. Yes, they are. Try doing that with a school of 300 to 600 kids. Although I don't do it all at one time. I do it over a week to a 2-week period of time. Let's see. Oh, thank you for answering the questions about the soda ash. Can bleach be thickened? I haven't done it myself, but I have heard of people thickening it. The other thing you can do, I don't know if I have it. Yes, I do have it here. You can buy the toilet bowl cleaner, and this here, the bleach is already thickened. It's in a gel form, So you can buy this here. This here I used in one of my, I have 3 discharging videos, and I did use this in one of them where I kind of sponged it on, but you could also paint it on. So that's a nice option then to try to thicken your bleach if it's already thickened. Let's see. If you're a beginner, is it hard to make a good spiral with not too much white showing? No, the main thing you want to do for that is have your t-shirt barely damp. You want to spin it out in the washing machine so that most of the water comes out of it. If you have too much water in your t-shirt when you're putting your dyes on, then that gets trapped in there, and that's what causes the white spots a lot of times. So if your t-shirt or tapestry is mostly damp when you're dyeing it, then you're going to have better luck with your saturation. And then it's a matter of opening the cracks and the creases up. You can check out some of my videos and you'll see that I use my cuticle pusher to open up some of these creases, and I look down inside to see if there's white spots. And if there are, then I'll add more dye to it. I bought the sodium alginate powder. Okay. Are you a dead fan or do a steely? Yes, I've done steely. I do have a video for just a basic folded one, but most of the time I will do them as a stitch design so that I can get a little bit more detail in them. And I do have a video for the folded steely, and then I have a few videos on stitching that show the process, but it's not on an actual steely, it's on the pot leaf, and then also on the dark side of the moon design. So you can see the process and then do a steely that way to get more detail if you want. But even just the folded one looks pretty cool, so I've done that, a video for that. Okay, so we're just about done folding these parts up, and it does look like I'll be able to get this line folded in there too. We do sell splash control bleach, which is thickened. Cool. Is it a better decision to buy tie-dye kit from Dharma or to buy everything individually? I could see either way being the way to go for different reasons. Yeah, if you just want to try it out, then a kit is a nice way to go. That was, I mean, 20 years ago, that's how I started. We bought a kit and just tried it out. And then from there, we started buying all the individual powders. And the other thing about buying things individually is you can, if you buy a kit, it's going to come with soda ash. But if you buy just the dye, you get just the dye, and then you can buy your soda ash locally. Because sometimes the shipping on the soda ash can be expensive. I buy mine at a pool supply store here in town, and here it costs $30 for a 50-pound sack. Now, granted, this it has more lumps in it than the soda ash I got from Dharma, but that's easy enough to break those up. Or when you just pour it in, I start blending, they break up immediately. So the lumps in the soda ash isn't a big deal. But yeah, a kit is a good way if you just want to kind of try it out, because they'll give you everything you need except for the cotton t-shirt. Okay, so let's see how I'm going to try to fold this. I might be able to do just a regular pleated fold up here. Yep, I think that's going to work. It's just a little bit tight getting started in there, but I'm just getting my pleats going right there in the middle there. The other way that I was lining up to do is what I call a raised pleat, and that's where I will fold, where I bring my line up to the top, and then I just fold back and forth like this. And that's what I do call a raised pleat. Sometimes it works in an area where you're not going from one side to the other. So you just fold back and forth. So like when I did the Jack Skellington face, and I did the smile with the little stitch lines in there, this is how I did it. I folded with raised pleat, and then I could dye here, and then for the stitches I just dyed just one quick line with thick dye on these edges here, and that gave me the stitches there. So there's a couple ways of doing the pleated fold here, and I think this way here though is going to work best for me because it'll keep everything flat for my dyeing. I want to do a tapestry tonight. Well, then break out some fabric and get it soaking. I love to see people creating, and I love to help people have success with it. Because once you get going, if you follow some of my videos, and even if you're just following them like a recipe, eventually when you have your own idea of what you want to do, then you have the tools figured out for how to accomplish that. Because all of these techniques, you know, you're just rearranging them in different ways, but they're good for just about every pattern that you're going to do. Sometimes they're different ones, you know, like the raised pleat is a little bit different, but once you figure that out, then you can do that on anything you like. So yes, I encourage people to create, and most of all I encourage people to have fun with it. I don't get too stressed. I mean, sometimes yes, when you've put a lot of hours into something and dye splashes where you don't want it, it can be a little bit frustrating, but you can also look at it as the universe adding a little accentuation to your artwork. So I encourage the universe to step in whenever it so deems necessary and help me out with my art. Hi, Mr. Tie-Dye. This is first time I've caught you live. Awesome. Hello, Julia. Nice to see you. I started doing the wild spiral and it's really popular. Yes, that one is really popular. I love doing that one. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of times I do it when I'm starting to get low on all my dyes, because that's a way that I can just use up all of my dyes. But it's also fun. You can mix up new ones, and then you can, if you have a few older dyes that maybe are starting to deteriorate in their color, you can mix those in with all your brighter colors, and it just adds some nice contrast. So the wild spiral, on top of being fun, is useful also. Yeah, and people do love them, so have fun creating the wild spiral. Okay, have you ever tried stitching patterns using a sewing machine? No, I haven't. That's something, I mean, with the way that I do my stitching, it just seems better for hand stitching, because I'm doing a lot of short runs for tying things off. But I have thought about a sewing machine. I don't have one, so I've just never gotten around to testing it out. But with the way my hands are, I might have to if I want to continue doing the stitch designs. I haven't been doing too many of those lately just because of my wrists, but I've still been having fun doing other tie-dyes. And doing these tapestries, I really love doing these, so that's been a lot of fun. And having you guys come hang out with me while I do my tie-dye tapestries. So, okay. Let's see. Let me check back. I forgot to keep track of the bidding. And I think we're going to close the bidding on Tapestry 1 out here soon. We're already coming up on an hour. Wow, and I haven't even started dyeing this one yet. Okay, it looks like Ernie Cox bid 75 for Star Tapestry number 1. So if there's any more bids, 75 is the high bid that I can see right now. I'm going to take one more peek as I scroll back down. So if anybody else wants to bid on Star Tapestry number 1. Oh, and the easy way to see the tapestries in, copy that. I put this an album together over on Facebook, and then I put a link here in my launch link. So I just posted a link to that. So if you want to take a good look at the 3 tapestries, they're just the top 3 in that album over on Facebook, and that top link will take you right to them. if you don't use soda ash, what's the correct way to finish after you tie-dye? I would have to say if you're dyeing from one of those kits, just follow whatever directions they say. Although, to get better colors from those one-step kits, I suggest getting all of your stuff tied up before you actually mix your dyes, because if there's soda ash mixed in with the dyes, then as soon as you add water to them, then the dyes are active. And if they sit there for 4 or 5 hours, then they're already starting to get weaker and they're not on your t-shirt or tapestry yet. The other thing I would recommend is if you have access to soda ash, go ahead and do a soda ash soak on them anyways. But if it says it doesn't need it, then you can go with that. But I would also, a lot of times they'll recommend 6 to 8 hours of batch time. I think if you leave them for longer with some heat, then I think you'll get better results that way also. I leave mine for 48 hours, and that really gives the dyes a lot of time to set up. But also by the time I get around to my washing process, most of the dyes are spent. So when the dyes come out into the washer and make the water look really dark, most of them are completely inactive. So there's very little chance of them backstaining. But also I find that less of the dye comes out because more of it has bonded. So 48 hours has some bonuses to it. But it is difficult. I know some people find it hard waiting 24 hours, let alone 48 hours. So you can, I'll leave that to you to decide how you want to do it. Let's see. And let me scroll back down here. I think 75 was the high bid, unless there's another one that came in. 72 of us watching. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Jessica. Yes, it is at 75 from Ernie Cox. Okay. So as soon as I get done tying this, we're going to close the bidding on Sun Tapestry number 1. And right now I'm just kind of poking everything down inside here. I'm making sure that I can still see my line coming up here because we're going to dye along that also. And then I'm going to wrap each of these up a little bit just so that they're nice and tight here. And then we'll get some dye put on this thing. Okay. So why the basting zigzag stitch in this way? Start. That's nice. Yes, everybody gonna go tie-dye when this is done. Yeah, I might end up doing a couple more after I'm done here too. I think I need to, oh yeah, I have an order I need to do up for somebody. They want one of the rainbow vortex, oval vortex tees. So I'll be tying one of those up when I'm done here. Okay, so the top bid on Sun Tapestry number 1 is at 75, so we're going to close that out here in about a minute. So if you want to place a bid, get that in now, please. Nice to see everybody here chatting and hanging out together. Turned our guest bathroom into my office. Awesome. You gotta make space where you can. Yeah, this is a little corner of our kitchen that I turned into my dye studio here. Although I look forward to a much larger dye studio at some point where I can spread my whole tapestry out to get it folded up. Okay. Oh. I'm going to set this one aside for just a second. And we're going to go ahead and close the bidding out. Let me take a quick peek. I don't think any others came in. Nope. Okay, so tapestry number 1, the Sun Tapestry. I'm going to close that one out now at $75. Congratulations, Ernie Cox. And the way that you can pay for that, Ernie, I'll put a link here. And in that link, you can either send me a message to one of my emails, and with your email, and I'll send you a invoice, or you can pay. There's a donation, MrTieDye donation link in there, and you can just pay through that. So your top bid was $75, shipping is $7, so it's a total of $82. So you can either send the payment or send me your email, and I will send out an invoice. So thank you. And now we're going to go ahead and open up the bidding on tapestry number 2 before we start getting this other one dyed. So this here is Sun Tapestry number 2 that I tied up last week. This one here, we did the sunbeams a little bit differently. They didn't come all the way down here. So this here is Sun Tapestry number 2, and the bidding is now officially open for that. Okay, well, maybe I'll go ahead and tie up. Okay, we got a $50 bid from Mayor. Thank you. Maybe I'll go ahead and tie up the other tapestry, and then I'll dye them both at the same time. That'll just save less mess of me trying to clean things up. So what I have here again is a tapestry that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out so that it's barely damp. Okay, we got a bid of a bid of 60 from Mayor. For Sun Tapestry number 2, bid of 70 from Annie. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is basically another Sun Tapestry. The bid's up at 75 from Mayor. Thank you. I'm going to do another Sun Tapestry because after last week, this was another one that was a kind of a dream or meditation inspired. I'm going to open up tapestry number 1 again. Let's see, we're up at 75 on tapestry 2. Okay, but just for illustration purposes, I want to kind of show you what I saw in my dream here. So I put these, I did I think 10 inches up here where I folded, and then one of these was 16 inches and one was 11. So I'm going to make the beam shorter by making the circle bigger. So I'm going to come out wider with the circle. And then the other thing I saw was having another point in the middle here. So I'm not sure just how that's going to work, but that's what we're going to go for. We're going to go for shorter beams, a bigger sun, and then an extra point in here. So let's see here. Okay. We're still, okay, we're at 77 on the tapestry. Sun Tapestry number 2. So what I'm going to do is mark my angle here. We're up at 78 from Marin. Thank you, Mo. Yes, my lady braids my beard up for me. She does it so that she can see my face. She said it looks like I'm hiding when I have my beard down. But I like it because it gets it up off my chest. So, because in the summertime we get that heat, and I wear tank tops during that time, and anything I can do to release a little bit of the heat out. Okay, so I'm going to draw an angle here at 60 degrees like I did for the last Sun Tapestry last week. So we're going to fold the tapestry into thirds. But like I say, I'm going to do just a little bit extra of a fold in there. Hopefully. We're going to try it and see what happens. Once again, another experimental inspiration tapestry. Alright. So, just got to get this flattened so I can draw my line out. The yardstick certainly comes in handy. See, how hot does it get in Oregon? Our summers usually will have 1 week of really hot temperatures, and for us that means it got up to 100. Most of the time throughout the summer it hovers in the 80s and 90s, but we still get the rainstorms that will come through and drop it back down into the 50s and 60s. So Oregon, there's a whole mix match of weather that we get. But when it gets up into the 80s and 90s, then that's a little bit warm for having this beard down on my chest here. And that's usually, we put the air conditioner in for our 1 hot week, and then we leave it in all summer long just in case. Okay, current bid is at 79. Thank you, Sarah, for helping me keep track of that, and for everybody for helping me keep track, and for the bidding, and just thank you guys. I love you all. Okay, so we're going to fold this in thirds like we did last week. Now I'm basically just taking one of these edges. This here was our folded center. This was my center here. I drew the 60-degree up, and then I folded this edge up, and then what I'm going to do is take this other edge and line it over here. But it's just a matter of getting this here lined up nice and neat here, and then smoothing out all the wrinkles. Sometimes it's easier just to pick everything up and shake it out, but I don't have the room to do that, but we can smooth it. We'll make it work. Jealous of that weather. The only good thing about the South is growing a garden early in the year. Yes, I do love it here in Oregon. I complain sometimes about the weather, but it really is nice here, so I shouldn't complain because I do love it here. I've been here for many years now. I did spend some time down in California when I was in the Navy, and I did like the weather down there, the warmer weather, the going to the beach on Christmas. But overall, I think I do prefer Oregon weather. Okay. So I just about got this straightened out here the way I want it. Okay, that's good there. Okay, so like I say, last week I went up 10 inches. This week I'm going to go up probably 14 inches just to make my beam, or my actual sun part, bigger. Okay, so the current bid is sitting at 79 still. Oh, thank you, Annie. Let's see, I'm jealous. Phoenix living on the sun. Yes, my lady, she lived down in Arizona for a while, and although she has been feeling like she's getting called back to the desert, so it's possible that I might have to go make a visit to the desert too. I did spend a week down in Sedona in August. What was that? 2003. So that was fun down there. I went down and I hiked around all of the vortexes there in Sedona, Oregon. Okay, looks like something is frozen on my video. Hopefully you guys can still see me, but okay, I think I just paused something for something, but it's back now. Let's see. Where do you buy your sinew? I buy my sinew from Dixie, I think it's DixieGunworks.com. And I buy 2 rolls at a time. It's the flat sinew, and it comes in these big rolls here. I think they're $6.50 or $7.50 or something like that. I buy 2 at a time just to save on shipping. And I've really like that sinew, so that's what I recommend right now. Let's see. Where in California? I was stationed, somebody asked where in California I was stationed. I went to school down there, so I was in San Diego for a number of years, and then I got a ship out of San Diego, and then the last 2 years I spent 6 years in. The last 2 years my ship got transferred to the reserve fleet, so then we got restationed up at Treasure Island, which is the little island in the middle of the Bay Bridge there in San Francisco. And that was nice. I mean, not the Treasure Island part other than the name, but I did like living there in San Francisco. I went and hiked all over the city, so I really loved that. Okay, so there's my sun. Like I say, we made that bigger than we did last week, and now I'm going to measure out and draw my beams on, and they're going to be a little bit shorter. I guess I don't really need to measure them. I can just make my mark. So I'm feeling right here, this here is the outer hem of my tapestry, just like this one here. So I'm just feeling that and just put a mark right there, and I can put the same mark there, and then I'm going to go down from that just 3 fingers on each side, so that my sun's going to come out to the edges of the tapestry but not go off of the tapestry. And then I'm going to eyeball this. You could measure that, but I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And then I'm going to draw my 2 beams down. And actually, I might even, as I'm sitting here, I'm just kind of remembering one of the ideas I had, which was to try to fold instead of going all the way down to the sun here. Let's see. Okay, there's my other edge of the tapestry. So I'm going to come down from that. Right to about there. And I'm just kind of eyeballing this from what I've seen in my meditation to get it on here. That's the fun part sometimes, just kind of transferring my vision onto here. Yeah, so I'm going to go out 5 inches from the center here and make a little mark, and I'll do 5 inches the other way. And then we're going to extend those lines out. Okay. Now originally I was thinking I was going to fold all the way down to here and fold all the way down to here, but now I'm thinking I might fold down to here, up, over, and down. I'm not sure if I can get all of those folds in there, but I think that's what we're going to try for. So we're going to delete those ones there and just have this outer rim here. How's that sound? Okay, let's see what we have going on in the chat room. In California, I answered that one. It's a great perk, warm winter. Yeah, Sedona is beautiful. Yes, I loved it down there. I hiked all over the place. I think I was hiking anywhere from 6 to 10 miles a day to go out to the vortexes. There was one that I think I rode the bus out to, but most of them I think I hiked from town out. What's in your pouch today? Oh, I keep the same crystals in there. Although I did add a few a couple weeks ago. So let me just open this up and dump these out. So I have my Andera crystal. This one here had been on another necklace and I found it recently. I think that's jade. I got a bunch of hematite, a little crystal, and then this here was a stone that, well, maybe even Dan, I believe, he sent me this here from Michigan. It's a Petrovsky stone. It's actually it's a fossil. I don't know if you guys can actually see. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, so yeah, I love to carry crystals in my pouch here and keep the energy. But I'm kind of a hippie in that way. So let's see. Hello from Brazil, to Liz in Brazil. Nice to see you. Glad you could make it. So yeah, I was born and raised in San Diego. Yeah, I lived down there from, I was in the Navy in '83, and I was down in San Diego until '87, or yeah, 80, maybe late in '88. I was still down there every now and then. So yeah, I did like it down there. Do you a favorite dye that tops all over the year, an old favorite or a favorite fold? I can't think of anything. One of the ones that I love that's on the ceiling of my living room is the Flower of Life tapestry. That's been one of my favorites, but that was a stitched design, not a folded one. Let's see. Yay, everyone liked it. Oh yes, thank you for liking my video here. Where did you get your fabric, sir? Please and thank you. This here is a Sunshine Joy Tapestry. They sell them in different sizes. This one here happens to be the one they call the 58 by 58. I think when it shrinks down, it's like 54 by 56. Some of them stay at 56 by 56. But they come with these little hemmed edges on two sides, salvage edge on two sides, and then the loops for hanging in the corners, all four corners. So I do really like those. But you just look up sunshinejoy.com, click on the tapestry link, and there will be a menu that opens up, and you just scroll down to the white blank tapestries. And then right now I think they have 4 different sizes for sale. But I think when they get restocked, they will probably have more. At one point I think they had 8 different sizes in there. Okay, so I'm just going to do my pleats, and like I said, I'm going to try this fold here. It's just kind of like almost like a zigzag fold, so I should be able to get that in. These extra lines I'm not going to do. Yeah, that should work perfect, and then I'll come back and fold the circle of the sun. And this here is another one of those pleats where at the end of my run it's going on the downward side, and then what I'm doing is taking this line right here, folding it up at a 45-degree angle and laying it right there. So that's why I'm kind of reaching underneath the tapestry here, is to get that folded up and around. And once you get it moved around, then you can lay it back down flat. Right now it's kind of bunched up as I get it moved around here. And then at the point that I get it lined up the way I want it, you can lay everything back down flat, and it just puts this extra little fold in your tapestry there. Instead of having the pleat continue out, the pleat goes out and then folds back on itself. That's that 45-degree fold. That's the easiest way I found folding around the tighter, sharper corners. Let's see. I know it's off topic, but any thoughts on Carl Jung and his ideas surrounding the collective unconscious? I didn't study Carl Jung. I mean, I have a basic understanding, but yes, I do believe in the collective unconscious. I think that's where we're at right now, is our consciousness, the collective unconscious, is raising on this planet. And with us being in this isolation right now, it's giving everybody the time to kind of go inside and raise their consciousness up a bit. So, and I do believe that's happening on a mass scale greater than it's any time in history. But yes, that's just kind of a basic there. I do have lots more. I have lots of channels and other people that I follow and listen to that help along with my beliefs, but a lot of stuff comes just from inside me when I go into meditation and stuff. So, and I hear stuff about us all being one, and it just feels like truth to me. So, that's all I'm going to say on the collective unconscious. Have you ever dyed silk? Can you dye it, then nuke it in the microwave and open after? Yes, when I dye silk, instead of soaking it in soda ash, I soak mine in white vinegar. And then I will spin it out like I would do normally. And then I tie it up and dye it with these same dyes. Although you have to be careful because the dye spreads much quicker on silk than it does on cotton. So when you're dyeing, if you want to dye up to this line, you need to leave some space because that dye is going to spread pretty quickly towards that line. But once you get it dyed, then what I do is I put it in a gallon-sized Ziploc baggie, and I'll put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. I'll start the bag with all the air squeezed out, but then you have to stay right there and watch it because the bag is going to slowly fill with steam. So just before, well, yes, before it pops, but as you see it fill up and get kind of tight, you want to turn the microwave off. So I'll just open the door and I let the bag kind of cool back down again, and then I'll close the door, turn it back on, and as soon as it fills back up again, but I set it for 2 minutes, and it takes me probably 3.5 minutes to get through there between all the stops and starts. And then I let it sit in there and just completely cool down so that it's, cool to the touch, or at least warm to the touch. If you try to pull it out right away and you open that bag, all that hot steam is going to come out, so don't do that. You want to let it cool down, but then yes, I go right into the rinsing and washing of it. And I do my silks, I just wash them right in the sink. After it's rinsed, then I put it in one of these white basins, like I have in my rags in, just wash tubs. I'll put a little bit of Synthropol in there, fill it with hot water, and I just soak the silk in there, and I change the water about every 30 minutes until the water stays clear. And then I'll spin it out in the washer and hang it up to dry. And that's how I do silks. So let's see. Oh, the other way that you can do silks, it's not so much about the heat. Well, I guess it is, but you can steam them also. So I do have a rice steamer that is dedicated for my tie-dye use. So you can lay it in the rice steamer, and when I do it that way, I usually will steam it for like 30 minutes. So either way of those will work for the silk. I just got 5 tapestries from their last. Oh, awesome! Yes, you're going to have some fun. My husband was the Army at the same time. He got sent to Honduras for a year. Yeah, I was hoping not to get sent to Honduras, but I was hoping to go on what they call Westpac. Because right after I went on board my ship, we went into the yard period and did a whole big overhaul. And then we went to Hawaii to get requalified as a U.S. ship. And then everybody thought we were going to go on Westpac, which is over to the Orient and stuff. And instead, we got put into the reserve fleet. And at that point, then we could only take little short cruises because the people that would come, they couldn't stay on board for months at a time. They would only come for 2 weeks at a time or a weekend for their training. So didn't get to go on a Westpac, but I did get to go up to Alaska. I went up to Canada probably 4 times. Victoria and Vancouver were the 2 places. Up in Alaska, we went to Seward, Anchorage, and Ketchikan. That was interesting. And okay, so I got my son. I don't know. I was talking this whole time, but I went through all those zigzags across those lines and got over to the edge. So I'm going to tie this up now. Let's see. I got to pull into Seattle once. We pulled into Astoria and Newport here in Oregon. We didn't get to go to the Oregon Rose Festival because a bigger ship wanted to go in there. All up and down California. We went over to Hawaii a couple times, down to Mazatlan, Mexico. So I did get to travel around some, so that was fun. Anyways, let's see. We'll go back. Current bid for tapestry number 2 is $79 still. Thank you, Sarah, for helping keep up to date on that. Anyone else going to bid? Anyone? Let's see. Using, I like the rags. Oh, thank you. My rags, yes, they start out white. They just slowly got dyed. Mostly the dyeing of those happened in the schools because I used a lot of rags when I was doing the school projects. Let's see. Careful with the microwave. Yeah, I wouldn't use bleach in the microwave. The only thing I ever did was bleach the dyes, and we don't use our microwave for anything anymore. We have a new wave, and that's where we do most of our cooking. So microwave is pretty much just for tie-dye. I lived in Ketchikan. Oh, awesome, Jessica. I was there in, I think, 86, maybe 87. 86. Yeah. Yeah, I think because I was only 20. So the only place I could get in to drink was at the VFW. And there they didn't check my ID. I had my uniform on and they let me right in. Oops, I shouldn't be talking about this. Let's see, bid update. Current high bid is 70. Okay, thank you. Let's see, I'm in Seattle. Hello, Marin, in Seattle. Yeah, we didn't get to walk around too much downtown. We had a limited area we could go, but that was fun. Can I soak a tea in Procyon dye water? Also, can I bottle and tie-dye with it? Bottle eye dye. I haven't tried the eye dye. I've seen it, but I haven't tried it yet. I was possibly I might try to get some eye dye and dye with that and put that down as one of my experiments. But it might be after this whole shutdown before I'm able to get to that. My weeks seem pretty busy, so I haven't gotten to too many videos, although I did get an alien video put up yesterday, and I do have a few others that I'll be trying to get edited and put up in the next week or so. Okay, yeah, so I should have tied the sun part first, just because I'm just finding it just a little bit rough getting past this middle part here, but it's still going to work just fine, I believe. So let's see, you're bringing back Navy memories. I told my ex to get me a Stairmaster if you ever asked to go back. I did see some fascinating countries. Mediterranean cruise. Oh yeah, that would have been nice. I would have loved to gone on some more cruises, but I still had fun with what I did, so I have no regrets for joining the Navy. Like I said, I spent 6 years in and got to see a lot more places than if I had just graduated high school and stayed in my little hometown. So let's see, what else we got going on? I saw Dubai and Jabal Ali. I mean, I never would have seen those countries if not for the Navy. Alas, being home with, yes, I agree. Yeah, the Navy does afford people the opportunity to travel like you probably normally wouldn't travel. Is the current tapestry on auction? The fire? No, the current tapestry is the Sun Tapestry number 2. We're going to close that out as soon as I get this one here tied up, and then I will put up the fire orbs as the last tapestry for this session here. Let's see. The t-shirt you're wearing is awesome. The colors are absolutely vibrant. Thank you. This one here is my Quantum V scrunch, and I'll put up a link to that. So the t-shirt that I'm wearing, here is the video link for it there in the chat box. But thank you. Yeah, I really love this tee. That's the nice thing about being the artist is you get to have first pick of the tie-dyes when you open them up at Hippie Christmas. So the Hippie Christmas, I would be the hippie. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is kind of scrunch this sun up a little bit. Sometimes I'll separate it out, but sometimes I'll just scrunch it up in place, and I think that's what I'm going to do this time, because we did it the other way last time. So I'm going to just scrunch this up, and then we'll get this tied off. And then, like I say, once I'm finished tying this up, then we'll go ahead and close the bidding for the tapestry number 2, or the sun tap number 2, and we'll start the bidding for the fire orbs. So it's somebody, I think it was David, I think was the high bid at 79? Let me see here, bidding update. Yes, 79 is the high bid for tapestry number 2, the Sun Tapestry. And that, I believe, was David. I can verify that here later, or I might be right there. Yeah, okay, I think it was David with a bid of 79. So we're going to close that in just a few minutes here. So if anybody else wants to bid on Sun Tapestry number 2, now is your time to get your bids in. Okay, now we're going to tie this outer part up. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to scrunch this up. Favorite state other than Oregon? Let's see, I'll think on that some. I took a trip to Hawaii. I really did like it there, between the weather but also the sights. One day we rented mopeds and just kind of zipped all over the island, and that was fun. And when I think back about it, I wish I had done that every day that I was off duty and just toured the islands every which way. I didn't end up doing that, but I did really enjoy Hawaii. Let's see, I took my grandmother down to New Mexico. It was several years ago, but took her down there to see her son. He had cancer and she didn't know about it yet, so the rest of the family knew, so I agreed to take time off and take her down there so that she could be told in person rather than on the phone. So we went down for Christmas one year to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I really enjoyed that area. So when I was wanting to leave Eastern Oregon, that was one of the places I considered moving to, was New Mexico. But then when I took my trip down to Sedona, Arizona, in 2003, after I healed up from my car accident, I really enjoyed Sedona and that weather, although it was warmer than here in Oregon, but I think I can handle warm better than I can cold. And I know that's coming from somebody who lives in Oregon, not Arizona, but so anyways, besides here, I think Hawaii and New Mexico were two of my places that I really enjoyed. I did take a trip across the states once to help a friend move, and we drove across the bottom of the country all the way over to Florida, and we only got to spend a short time in Florida, but we did go back and visit there again. I did enjoy the warm water in the ocean there, much warmer than the water in Oregon when you go to the ocean. We wear wetsuits over here to get into the ocean. Well, not everybody, but. Okay, we're going to keep the bids at least, I mean, I usually go with the $5 increments, but at least $1. We're not going to go into the cents. So right now the high bid is from David at 79. We're not going to observe the 79.01 or 02. So if you want to place a bid, go at least up to 80, please. Let's see. Zipper. Oh, nope. I call it the Quantum Scrunch V, only because it was the same fold. I do have another video called just the Quantum Scrunch. So, okay, I think I'm going to close this out. We have the high bid from David at 79 at this point. So I'm going to close that out. We're going to go once. We're going to go twice. And we're going 3 times. Okay, sold at 79 to David. Thank you and congratulations. So once again, let me post my link. I think you've bought from me before, so I'll put the link up to make it easy for you to find. But yeah, you would just go in. 79 plus 7 is what, 86. So that will include shipping. So thank you, David. Let's see, it does look like a lot of fun. 1988. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. We're going to break both of those out and dye them, but the next tapestry that I'm putting up for bid, this one here was created last April of 2019. This one here was another dream-inspired one. That was why I added it in, because I was doing 2 other dream-inspired tapestries today. Well, this was another dream-inspired tapestry. So this one here I call Fire Orbs. So, and there's a better picture of it. If you want to see a better picture of it, the launch links that I just posted there, the top link there has, will take you over to my Facebook page, and it has all 3 of these pictures at the top of the album. So, but anyways, there's the Fire Orbs, and we're going to open up the bidding on that right now. Oh, did Annie? Okay, I'm sorry. I called the wrong person out. So thank you for keeping me honest here. So Annie, congratulations on the 2nd star tapestry. I apologize for that. I didn't scroll back far enough. So, okay. Hopefully we got that all squared away then. Annie, you can go ahead and click on and pay for that. Hopefully David didn't go in and pay for that. Although I think David probably knows that he didn't bid the 79 there. Okay, so the Fire Orbs, looks like we have an opening bid of 30 from Marin, so thank you for that. Let's see, 2 primary colors or primary sets. What? Proshan. Okay, I guess that's in the conversation. I'll let you guys can talk about that. What's your favorite dish? Do you mean like in food? Is that what you're meaning? Is what's my favorite food? If that's what your question is, then I would probably answer my mom's spaghetti. She makes it homemade, and I just love it. Okay, so we're going to dye the crop circle tapestry first. And I need to adjust my ties just a little bit here. Oh, I need to mark my lines too. So the easy way to mark lines is if you just make a little mark underneath the tapestry, and then you can go back in and make those same marks on the other side. So this is how I usually will continue my lines over, is just by marking underneath the tapestry and then flip it over. And then we're also going to dye right up this line here. Okay, we're up at 40, we're up at 50 for the Fire Orbs. So thank you, Gwen. Is there a minimum bid? I'm just having people bid in at least whole dollar amounts. So we got a bid from Emily at 50. So yeah, if you just bid in at least whole dollar amounts, I don't want to try and get off into cents. Okay, so now I'm going to get this dyed. Once again, I'm placing, this tapestry is barely damp right now. I don't have time to let it dry out. Normally, that's what I would do, is let it dry. When I'm not letting them dry out, I'll put a clean, dry towel underneath them. And what that's going to do is I add liquid on top. It's going to help force all the other liquid that's in the tapestry, which would be the water from the soda ash. It's going to be soaked up by this towel. So the towel is actually kind of helping to pull the liquid through. So that's the reason that I lay a towel down if I'm dyeing something that has multiple layers to it. It just helps. And I'm going to dye from just the top to start with until I can start seeing the color. And the places that I look for is the thicker parts. So like right around these ties here, those would be places that I want to make sure that I see color coming through. The thinner parts of the tapestry is it's not so hard to get that saturated, but this here, those are the parts that are the hardest. So before I flip it over, I will want to see dye soaking through to the bottom right there. So let me put some gloves on here and we'll get going. And it looks like we're an hour and a half in, so we might be able to close this out at 2 hours. That's usually about my time right now. So let's see. Looks like the Millennium Falcon. Yes, it does. Emily King opened this. 50, let's see. Okay, yeah, so we're still sitting at the $50, I believe, for the high bid. I'm going to scroll down further. Okay, is it okay to let your shirt soak in soda ash for longer than 20 minutes? Yes. I have forgotten about something soaking for up to a week, and I just went out and spun it out, no problems at all. And I've also had my stuff that's been soaked in soda ash. I got a tub that I store them in to keep them wet, and sometimes I'll forget about t-shirts in there for up to 2 or 3 months. Longer than that, and you risk them starting to mold or something, but the main thing is that, yes, longer than 20 minutes is perfectly okay. Yes, okay, well, I appreciate you guys helping answer these questions. Favorite live band? I haven't been to a live band in many years, so I would have to think on that. Yeah, and Emily said that, yeah, they don't need more than 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a good time frame for getting them saturated, but yes, they definitely don't need longer than that, but it is okay to leave them longer. Okay, so I'm going to start dyeing. I'm going to dye the crop circle part, which is going to be these bands that I put on here for the circles. I'm going to dye those all in lime green. This lime green I mix up myself. I usually will mix, with the powders, but basically, if you filled your bottle up about a little more than 3/4 of the way with lemon yellow, and then topped it off with turquoise, you'll get this bright green. The more yellow that you put in there, the limier, the brighter the green is going to be. The more turquoise you put in, the darker the green is going to be. But that's one of the colors I mix up myself. And then the rest of the tapestry, the inner parts of the circles, and then around my other line here, I'm going to dye that all in this green here all the way around. And then probably on the outer edges, I'm going to add maybe one of my darker greens on top just to give it a little bit more texture too. So we're going to get started putting the dyes on. And I'll usually go and leave just a little bit of line or space by the line here, but since I'm going with the shades of green, this darker green is going to cover up. If my green soaks under the line here, it's going to cover it up. But if I was going to be putting a different color there, I would probably start back and leave a little bit of a white space to allow that green to spread before it went past the line. But right now, what main thing that I want is to get good saturation down in there. So I'm just going to coat the whole thing right up to the line here. And then any of the light green that soaks under the line will get covered up with the darker green. Okay, how big is the tapestry? These are all the ones that I'm bidding on, like if you're asking about this one or the Fire Orbs or the other Sun Tapestries, they're all the same size. They're the Sunshine Joy that they mark at 58 by 58. After they're washed and they shrink some, they're usually measure out about 56 by 54 or 56 by 56. Do you have a favorite color, or what color do you run out of first? Turquoise is usually the one that I run out of first and that I end up making the most of. Just because I guess blues are my favorite color, and whenever I put blues on, unless I'm going for a flag or something, if I'm doing a flag, I'll put just sapphire on. But if I'm putting blues on, I usually will start with turquoise, and sometimes I'll lighten it up, you know, even down to like a third, and fill it up with water to give me a nice light turquoise. And then I'll put a darker turquoise over top of it, and then I'll put my blues on. So yes, blues, ocean colors are usually my favorite colors to go with. But I do like to spread out into the rainbow. Rainbow is one of my favorite things to dye with, so I do kind of jump back and forth. But really, I just love all of the colors. But when you look at the body of my work, I would say that turquoise probably shows up more frequently than any other color. Okay. What color would you suggest if you wanted barn red? Let's see. Maybe the scarlet. I usually use fire red myself, but I whenever I do flag designs, that's the red that I like for it. And then from there, I'll usually adjust it if I need a different red. So if I need like a maroon, I'll add some brown to it, and maybe a little bit of blue. If I need a burgundy, I'll usually add a little bit of purple to it. Let's see. Oh, I even needed more of a scarlet leaning red one time, so I did add orange to my red and a little bit of yellow. So I usually will adjust my colors. I don't always buy every color out there. I like to mix, so I have a sheet like this here, piece of paper towel, and I will mix, and here's where I was mixing, I think, my orangey color. To just lighten it up, so I would add a little bit of orange, shake it up, put a drop on here, and then I'd add a little bit more if I needed it, put another drop. And this here usually gives me kind of a good idea. Once you drop it on there and you let it spread out a little bit, then it kind of settles into almost the same shade you would get from mixing it. So, I mean from the actual tie-dye. One of these days I'll have to make one of these up and test. You know, when I put it on the tapestry, put some on here, and then when I wash it out, then compare it and see how close I am. Just so I have that idea. I need to refill my bottle here. Let's see, it looks so good. I'm rather new to tie-dyeing. You inspire me. I am trying to make a pair of shoes next. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I love to help and inspire people. And as for the shoes, I do have a video on how to tie-dye your shoes. So you can search my channel for that. I use these same kinds of dyes. Although when you're dyeing shoes, these bottles with the needle tips on them really come in handy because the dye spreads fast. Most of what I dyed was either the Converse or the Vans, and the dye wants to spread pretty quickly. So the needle tip bottles allow you to put a finer line of dye on there. And of course, watch the video and you'll see how I kind of lay one color on and then I lay the next color right next to it. The main thing is to keep track of where you're putting your orange, because if it gets mixed in with green or purple, it'll turn to brown. And if you're trying to do rainbow, that doesn't help. So I usually make sure I surround my orange with either the yellow or the fuchsia. So let's see. Let me scroll back up here. Did on the ocean colors, love them. My son loves the rainbow. He says I can't pick one when they're all so BS. I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes it is a difficult choice. That's why I say I just love all the colors. But every now and then there is that one that just jumps out at you. And those are usually the ones that I will keep. I don't even, I put them, when I first post them, I say, this one's mine. Hey, Mr. Tie-Dye, fellow dyer here. Hey, Hippie Connections, nice to see ya. Let's see, I call him my son. Yeah, it's nice. I love rainbows, explosion colors, but turquoise, yes. Always goes first. I need those bottles. Where do I found these here on Amazon, and on some of my videos I do have a link to them. I'm looking to see if I have it on this one. I don't. But yeah, if you search Amazon, I think they're called glue bottles. But I can, later on, I can post a link on this video to the Amazon bottles that I buy. These are 4-ounce bottles, and they are really nice. The main thing is filling them, and you've seen how I did that. I just kind of squeezed the air out of the small bottle, and then I put this one in, create a vacuum seal, and then I just squeeze from one bottle into the next. And I do have a video on filling these also. So, okay, thank you for answering that question. Let's see, can you mix dyes with Pantone mixing system based book as a base? I don't know anything about the Pantone mixing system, so I couldn't answer that question. Love the beard, thank you. Yeah, my lady braids this up for me. I don't understand how you are so good at dyeing. Just because I've been doing this for 20 years. And I've done many school events. And so I probably have tie-dyed with like 10,000 kids over the last 16 years. So that just adds up to a lot of practice. So between dyeing with the kids and then just doing my own work, I used to sell at the Salem Saturday Market, so I was always making new dyes up because I did really well there at that market. So practice is one of the main keys to success with tie-dye. And then also just kind of taking notes at what you do so that you can reproduce something if you're experimenting. I used to take a lot of notes so that, and I would do maybe 5 or 6 tees if I was experimenting so that I could remember how I folded each one of them. And then it was a matter of just repetition. I just went back and I tried it again and I did it again. And when you open it up and you can kind of see how it turned out, it would give me ideas of how I could tweak things just a little bit to try to make it better. Oh, I forgot to put my line on here. Okay, yep, that was my other green line and I forgot to put it on, so we're going to have just a little bit of an interruption in the line on one side here, but that'll be fine. Once again, that's the universe kind of stepping in to help me out. I don't know if the universe made me forget or helped me remember, but one way or another, there's my green line coming out. And I'll probably do the same thing on the other side just so it's the same. So we'll just let that soak in there nicely. Okay, let's see what's going on here. After rinsing your shirt, how do you wash it? I want my colors to stay vibrant. I'm using Dharma dyes. Part of keeping your dyes vibrant is having your dyes mixed strong enough having your soda ash mixed correctly, and then batching them long enough. I do a very minimum of 24 hours when I batch my things, but I prefer 48 hours. And what that does is give the dyes more time to bond with the cotton fibers. Because when you do your rinsing and your washing, what you're doing is rinsing or washing away all of the dye that didn't bond. So if you leave it sit for an extra 24 hours, more of those dye particles can actually bond and they won't get rinsed away. So when people have a lot of rinsing, those are the things that I usually hit on. The other thing is temperature. Here in Oregon, my room temp is usually around 68 degrees. So I will stack my tubs. I put mine in these plastic tubs with the lid on a rack, and I will stack those next to a heater vent. And then in the summertime, I put them out on my shed and bake them in the sun. So those are the most important things for keeping your dyes vibrant. It's not the actual washing that causes them to fade, it's the dyeing process. Let's see, I used Dawn Dish Soap, awesome. Have you ever used syringes? I've played with syringes just a little bit. I didn't find that I like them. I do have one syringe that I use for other things, but my main thing was squirting. I have seen some of the better ones that have the nice, finger holds and thumb hold to, whoops, I'm going to squirt my oil around here. This is my gasoline oil for my dyes. But no, I haven't played with the syringes too much, mostly just because I don't have them. I probably should get some in and try them out. But I've always had good success with the dyeing with the bottles. And these smaller ones with the tips have been a really nice addition to my tie-dye tools. After I bought one set and liked them so much, I bought another set so that I could put more colors into the smaller bottles. Perfection is boring. Everything is beautiful. Yes, I'm guessing that's in reference to me messing up on my dyeing here or doing it other than what I had planned. Yes. Like I say, that's where I do think that the universe helps me out with my dyes. So if something happens, I just assume that it was meant to be that way. Although I do try to avoid it when I can. But sometimes it just happens and you just have to go with the flow. There's no sense in getting upset over something because all you're going to do is bring yourself down. And who can do tie-dye when you're sad about it? So I stay happy and I move on to the next one. And yes, I think this is going to work out perfect. This is going to add in, like I say, I'm going to go ahead and dye this green on the other side for that first 2 inches and then put my line out from there. And we're just going to make it what it is. Using syringes will cause major wrist pain. Okay, well I probably will stay away from them because I already have the wrist pain just from all the stitching that I used to do. I don't do nowhere near as much of that. I still have a few orders that I'm working on and trying to get those done, but I'm not really taking on too many new stitch designs unless they're some of the more basic ones, like my Snoopy and my pot leaf. Those are ones that I'm still doing, but currently I do have a few other orders that I'm working on, so I will get those done too as I can. So yes, I'll probably avoid the syringes then. Yeah, so this is how I fill the bottles. I just squeeze all that air out, set this in until it creates a seal, and then I just squirt the top bottle to fill it up. I don't know what happened. I used Dawn and my shirt faded. How long did you batch it for? what was the temp? Were you using old dyes or new dyes? Those are some of the questions. One other possibility that is more of a random thing, but it does happen, is sometimes at the factory level, unbeknownst to the sellers of the t-shirts, they'll have polyester fabric that's a blend that gets mixed in. So if it's just like one shirt that's happened on, that's always a possibility too. But if you have old dyes, the other thing, if there's the possibility that you got soda ash into your dye bottles, I had this happen after a school event. I'm going to put a cap on here, but the little 8-ounce bottle, well, in fact, I'll break one of those out. These are the bottles. When I go into the schools, I use these size bottles here, and the kids, they'll poke their bottle down inside and squirt the dye. But if you release your bottle and you suck some of that excess dye, which is mixed with soda ash, up into your bottle, that can then slowly cause your dye in your bottle to go bad. So that's always another little slight weird random possibility if it just happened to be on, you know, one or two colors. So I do a lot of tapping in here, but I make sure not to release my bottle until I've lifted it up, and then that's when I will release to suck air back in again. So I don't know if that helped you or not, Annie, but those are the main things that I find with the fading. I mean, they're always going to be a little bit lighter when they're washed and dried, but if you experience major fading, then I would look more at your dyeing process than your washing process. Let's see. Do I consider myself a hippie? Yes, I think I do. I don't know that I fit in completely with like the hippies of the 60s, but I do consider myself a hippie. Maybe a modern day hippie or something, I don't know. Let me take a quick scroll back to see where our bidding is at. I'll probably close the bidding out after I get this one finished dyeing here. Okay, I'm seeing a $50 bid from Emily right now. If somebody else has bid higher, please speak up, but otherwise right now I am seeing the high bid sitting at $50 for the fire orbs. I don't see any other bids. Okay, $60 from Andrew. Okay, so we now have a $60 bid from Andrew for the fire orbs. Okay, so I'm going to take a peek now at the bottom here and see what this looks like. So I can see that I have some dye coming through here. I'm going to add probably just a little bit more. I don't see it much right there. And I need more on this one here too. So, and then more of the dark green up there. And I need to add just a little bit more of the green up there. So yeah, I think this is doing pretty good. We're going to add another layer and then probably be able to flip this over and dye the other side. Oh, and I think I'll also flip my towel over. This here is more of a dry side now. Actually, no, that does feel kind of wet, so I'm going to add some more rags in here, because this here, having the clean dry rags or towels underneath does help pull that dye through, and that's basically just helping then with the saturation. So I like to just kind of press that down and get it situated. Okay. Do the dye chemicals ever affect your mood? No, I haven't noticed anything like that. In fact, sometimes I don't attribute it to the chemicals themselves, but I think tie-dyeing affects my mood. It's very relaxing, and other than when I'm doing a live video like this, it's almost meditative for me. So meditation doesn't have to be done sitting cross-legged on the floor with your hands and saying Om. I can sit here at the table and not listen to music, just have my own thoughts in my head and just go right into kind of a meditative state. And sometimes I will then get little visions. That's how some of these tapestries came to me, whether it was at the dye table or when I actually was sitting in meditation. But I have gotten some ideas sitting here at the dye table come to me just by letting my mind be quiet and just kind of focus on what I'm doing. And those sometimes turn out to be some of my most favorite t-shirts or designs are the ones that come to me in meditation. Oh, I guess I could use a bigger bottle right now. Okay. Looks like a Millennium Falcon. Yes, it does. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for answering the questions. I can't wait for the next show. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. We'll see you next time. Yeah, these do go on kind of long. I think 2 hours is my shortest one so far with these live. I rinse each piece separately in cold first. Lots of work, but helps prevent mud. When I'm rinsing, then I fill the washer with hot water. Use 2 tablespoons of Dawn. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Oh, okay, you guys are having a conversation about the Blue Dawn. Thank you guys for helping each other out. That's what I believe this community is all about. Helping one another to have success. Let's see. Also, no more. I've learned so much from you and have made so many beautiful tie-dyes. Thanks. You're welcome, Tier. I'm glad to be of help. Okay, and thank you, Jessica, for letting me know about the top bid. Andrew at $60 is still the top bid. Tried to find the video with the pattern of the shirt you're wearing today. I can't find it. Okay, let me post a link for you. It's called Tie-Dye a Quantum Spider V. Okay, that's part I probably missed before. The Quantum Spider V. But I will post a link to the video right there. So that's the Quantum Spider V. That's this tee that I'm wearing right here. Everybody does it differently. Mr. Tie-Dye is way more experienced. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Everybody does do it differently. I can only show my way of doing it, but there are lots of different ways of doing it. Because this art was so secretive for so many years that a lot of people had to figure it out on their own. And when you figure out something that works for you, then you just stick with it. And then when somebody like me comes along and starts sharing all the secrets, then maybe, you might consider trying this or trying that or adjusting your process a little bit. But really, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just showing you how I do it and showing you the results that I get. And then you guys can make your decisions on how you want to do it. Okay, I think we're about ready to flip this over. Let's see. Does your lady share the same passion of tie-dye that you do? She likes it, she wears it, but she doesn't do any of it on her own. Although she does come to the schools. She's the one that runs my dye station when I go into the schools. And she usually has, 2 to 3 to sometimes 5 or 6 parent helpers. And she just kind of keeps that dye table running, keeps the kids moving through. So she does know how to do the tie-dye, but she has other interests that she spends her time doing. This is what I like to spend my time doing, is creating tie-dye and, of course, helping you guys learn tie-dye. So But yes, she does jump in and help me. She's my flower child. And at school, the kids call her Mrs. Tie-Dye. Okay, I think this here is looking good enough. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. This here is about the only spot, maybe a little bit right there, that I need to touch up. But I can see dye coming through. Maybe a little bit more out here. I can see dye coming through in most... Okay, so there was some dark green on my light green. I'm going to try to lighten that up some by pushing it down through there with lighter color. Once again, the universe, thank you. I'm going to just try to poke that down there and see if we can get that in, but there'll be a little bit of a dark spot in my green line. Maybe I wasn't supposed to have the green lines there, but... And right now I'm just kind of tapping the dye. Sometimes that helps. A little bit of pressure will help the dye soak down in there further. So I do this a little bit harder with my cuticle pusher, but I do the tapping with my bottle sometimes too. I've had people call it the MrTieDye tap. But the pressure sometimes, like when I'm working on Mandela, I have a pair of channel locks that I'll use to squeeze with. But you need to have a rag handy and have it tipped so that it's not going to drip down your tapestry, because dye does squeeze out. Or you could even wrap a clean rag around it when you do your squeezing. Let's see. Okay. Oh, nice to see you back, Annie. My next challenge is the Dreamcatcher. Yeah, I'm still working on perfecting the Dreamcatcher. You guys seen my results before? I didn't have the best ones in the one I did the video of. I had better results on the one I did before that. Let's see. Bid update, Andrew Scoff 60. Yes, let's everyone try to get it to 1,000. Thank you for sharing your secrets in dyeing. You're welcome. Like I said, I felt called to share, so that's what I'm here doing, is sharing according to what I felt called to do. I have 20 years experience, and I think the schools really set me up perfectly for doing these videos. So when I had what I felt was a calling from the universe to share, that's what I decided I needed to do. So I started making videos, and then I had so much fun doing it that I just kept on making them. And here I am today, more than 2.5 years later. Okay, so I'm putting some rags on top of this. Basically, I'm going to flip this over, and these now are going to be my bottom clean rags to try to help soak some of that dye through. This here is, I can feel the whole thing is wet all the way through now, so it did help. And I can feel these rags are wet, so they definitely soaked up some liquid. Some of it being soda ash, some of it probably being some of the dye that came through early. But I do feel that the rags, clean dry rags, definitely help. So really what I'm doing is adding more laundry for myself, but if it helps the process come out better, then I'm all for doing extra laundry. The main thing you don't want to do is do your laundry with your rag laundry with your t-shirt laundry, because all these little fuzzies come off and they stick to your t-shirt, and then you spend a lot of time cleaning it off. So I wash my rags separately and my t-shirts separately. Let's see. Okay, let me get back up here, see what's going on. The universe again. Yep, the universe pokes its nose in, so I just smile and go with it. Add a little texture, a little added texture. Yes, definitely. How do you store pieces for batching? I use plastic lids for totes. Yes, that's the same thing I use. I have racks that I set mine on so that they're not setting flat on here. I mean, I dye them flat on the table here, but when I'm batching, I want any excess dyes to be able to drip out. So I found these in the closet section of Home Depot. They came in 8 or 10 foot lengths. I just cut them to the length I needed, and they have a lip on one side and a flat side. So I cut some PVC pipe and I set that in there so that my rack is level in my tub, and then these all have a lid on them. So I can put them in there and move them around quite easily. So that's how I do my batching. And I batch for 48 hours just to give the dyes more time to set up. Let's see. Hi from Australia. Just made it for the end Thursday morning here. Oh, hello Tamara. Good to see you. Yes, we're dyeing. This one here is what I'm naming a crop circle design. So I did a circle in the center, and then I did another circle out here, and then another circle out here. I had it folded in quarters. So that's what these two are, is the two circles that are going to be 4 circles, and then this here was the center circle here. And then just putting another little piece out here. And then I do have another Sun Tapestry that I tied up a little bit differently, so I'll be dyeing that one soon too. So you made it in plenty of time. Let's see. Would you say it's better to have your item damp before dyeing or dry? I like mine damp, but if I'm doing a bunch of layers like this one here, if I'd had the time, I would have let it dry out. But like I say, putting it on clean dry rags does help the liquid soak all the way through. And if you dye it from just the top until you see it coming all the way through, then that's fine. But my mandalas and things with lots of layers, I usually will do those completely dry. So I fold them up damp, and then I set them aside for 2 or 3 days, sometimes a week, depending on what the temperatures here are in Oregon. And then I will dye them dry. And sometimes when you dye dry, the dye wants to roll off rather than soak in. So I keep a bottle of soda ash in one of these spray bottles, and then you can just lightly spray it just to get the top wet, and then that just helps the dye soak in easier. So just really depends on what I'm dyeing as to whether I do it wet or dry. Actually damp, not wet. Okay, so here's my line out here. I'm going to get this dye on here right now so I don't forget. And then I do have the green on there so I can see that I'll be putting green across there. Okay. Come to Chile? Yes, that would be awesome. One of these days I'm going to take a world tour, and I'll just have to stop in and sleep on everybody's couch across the world. He used a long shallow class here. I use towel between racks. I let mine sit at least a couple days. Me and my sister watching together on different computers, perfectly in sync. That's nice. That's my sister. Hello. Oh yes, I see. Same last name. So Sarah and Marin. Nice to see you both. When the pandemic passes, come to Chile. Yes, that would be awesome. One of these days I am going to make it out, and I'm going to travel around, and I'll probably just have to put a word out on Facebook and YouTube and see where I can stay at. But that'll have to be decided later. My heat vents are in the ceiling, so after I let them sit for a few days, I just put them in the oven 200 degrees for an hour, then flip and bake one more time. Yeah, you'll probably have even better luck with that if you put them in the oven. After you're done dyeing, put them in the oven first and then batch them for 2 or 3 days, because at the point that you are heating them up, a lot of your dye has already been spent. It's not going to be grabbing as easily. So that just might be something that brightens your colors. It might be just a slight bit, but anything that you can get to brighten your colors, I think, is a good thing. So maybe try that a little bit. Hello from Georgia. I love watching you and was wondering if you're going to be doing any more do-it-yourself tie-dye videos anytime soon. Your videos always make me happy every day. Yes, I have, I think 4 videos that I'm working on editing right now that I've done the tying and the dyeing part. I think it was yesterday or the day before I uploaded an alien video, and I have a tiger stripes coming. I think I have another white, mostly white rainbow spiral hoodie, and I think I did the zigzag on a t-shirt, And oh, I still have one more. I did a radio wave on a t-shirt, and I've been letting it sit to dry, but I think it's ready to dye now, so I'll probably be finishing that video soon. But mostly it comes down to having the time to finish editing them, because it might take me just a half hour to an hour to shoot the video, but sometimes the editing takes me another few hours to finish that and get them uploaded. So on top of that, and answering questions on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, my weeks I stay quite busy. So this here is a fun time for me because I get to sit down and do tie-dye, plus I'm doing a video and I'm chatting with everybody. So I always look forward to Wednesdays now because I get to hang out with you guys. So let's see. So yes, I will continue making videos, and as I can, I'll get them uploaded. I'm enjoying poetry meditation on YouTube. Thank you for reminding me. I need to do it more often. Yes, meditation is a daily thing. Another thing I recommend, just from my own personal hippie self, is to try to limit, if anybody's watching the mainstream media, the news and stuff, try limiting that to maybe 1 hour a day, because they put so much negative stuff out. It's like they go out of their way to find the most negative stories, and they'll only present one part of it. And that's just way too much negativity to come into your house and to try to be happy about anything. So yes, turn on more YouTube, watch poetry meditations, or go out in nature. Usually even after these videos, I'll go outside barefoot and stand and ground. It's called earthing. And there is a video on earthing on YouTube, or probably more than one. But just getting back to our roots, our nature, anything you can do to quiet your mind, and the meditation is just one way to do that. And like I say, I do my meditation sometimes within my tie-dye. As I sit here and just kind of work quietly by myself, I'm in a meditative state. And all of the things are going to help raise your consciousness, and then it helps raise the collective unconscious. And pretty soon, as a whole planet, we're going to go through a paradigm shift, and the world is going to change. The world is changing. That's just my opinion. I'll get off my soapbox now and go back to tie-dye. Do you dye your wild spiral wet or dry? I did those damp, and I think I did the same thing. I'd have to go back and look at the video, but I think I put them on a clean dry rag and then set the spiral on there and then dyed them. So yeah, most things I do dye them wet, or I like barely damp. Now, I like to have as little liquid as possible in there, but having a little bit does help the dye start to soak in rather than roll off. So I just like the look of mine when I'm dyeing them damp. So that's the way I do it most of the time. I use ASMR for meditation. Oh, nice. I'm behind in my thing. I tingle immensely. Awesome. My tiger stripes didn't come out as I wanted. Yeah, I'll be having the tiger stripe video. I think that might be the next one that I'm putting up. So mine, I think I needed to saturate a little bit more with my orange. I wanted just a tiny bit of white in there, but I think I got more than I wanted. But they still came out pretty cool. THC, I cannot stand ASMR meant to make you tingle. ASMR, but studies. Thank you very much. I will check them out. I don't watch the news at all. Is that bad? Nope, I don't think that's bad at all. I don't watch the news at all either. I get little tiny clips that come across Facebook, and sometimes a story will catch my interest and I'll go search for it. And I usually try to verify that it's coming up in 3 or 4 different major sources. If there's just one thing, when I do a Google search and it only comes up in one place on one oddball site, then I take it to be, somebody intentionally putting fake news out there. So, nope, I don't watch any news. If I watch any, it's because I've intentionally gone looking for a specific story. I use singing, awesome. Yoga, yes. All of those are fantastic. I mean, even just walking out in nature can be meditative. Yes, it's good to be informed, but not too informed. Yep, avoiding the news. That's what I do. Maybe that's how I keep my happy, positive smile all the time. Thanks for the tip. You're welcome. Same. Mine wasn't saturated enough at all. Yeah, that's one of those things. Like I say, next time I was hoping that my orange was just going to soak down just a little bit deeper, and it just didn't. So next time I'll just make sure to add a little bit more. Did we close the bidding? Nope, we still have the bidding going. I'll have to scroll back, or if one of my helpers want to scroll back and tell me where the high bid is and who has it. Is yours still at the moment? It's still yours, Andrew. Okay, so yeah, Andrew must have the high bid still, and I haven't closed it. I will close the bidding out after I finish dyeing this before I start the next one here. So we'll go, a few more minutes here. The more news you get, the less you know. Okay, I think I'm going to open some of these creases up here. What I usually do is I kind of go with the thickest creases that I can find. Those are usually the places where you're going to find white areas. So I don't see any white in there. So dyeing them just from one side, it really helps, because then when you go to the second side, it doesn't take that much dye to go in that second side to get it just the way you want it. So I think I'm going to add just a little bit more dye to this and then call this good. And then at that point we'll close the bidding out. Let's see. And Sarah says that Andrew Scoff has the high bid at 60 for the fire orb. So thank you, Sarah, for that, and thank you, Andrew, for your bid. I appreciate you guys helping me out. Makes things go a little faster if I don't have to go searching for it each time. Okay. We're just about out on that one. And as usual, I will make a reveal video of these when I do my washout. Most times that works out just perfect for me to do a washout on Friday mornings. Sometimes something else comes up and I have to postpone it for later in the day, but whenever I do get around to doing the washout, I will make a reveal video of the process so you can see it as soon as I open it. You know, go from the Millennium Falcon to a crop circle, or at least a crop circle for my dreams, my meditation. Okay, I think that is going to be good. So what I'm going to do, of course, is set this aside and let it back for 48 hours, and then we'll do the washout. Okay, so now we'll get cleaned up and we'll dye the actually this would be the Sun Tapestry 3, because I did 2 already. So we'll call this one here Sun Tapestry 3. It's the one that I did the modified fold on and added an extra set of points in there. And since I'm had green to start with on the crop circle, and now I'm going to go to orange, I'm making sure that my hands and the table are very well wiped up because I don't want the contamination. And looks like Emily King has bid 65. So I'm going to close the bidding out probably in just another minute or two here. So right now the high bid is sitting at 65 with Emily King. things out of the way here so I can get set up for the next one. Yeah, I just have too much stuff on my table right now. But thank you. I do some cleaning here. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a towel down. Where did the towel go? Okay, so here's another clean, dry towel. Now I'm going to put my Sun Tapestry down on there. And like I say, what we're going to be dyeing is along this line. Between these two lines are my sun rays, and this is one where I did the sun ray going up this way, and then I did the little extra point in there. So I just kind of folded the zigzag to get to there, and then this here is the center of my sun. And like I say, I made this one bigger than the last one, the last two that I did. So I'm going to have a bigger sun and smaller rays, but there's going to be an extra point in there. So we'll see how that goes. And plus I think I'm going to dye the sun in just the yellow, 2 shades of yellow here, because I really liked how that looked on, I think, one of the sun. Yeah, oh no, I guess I did add some red in there, but I think this time, yeah, so on number 2, I had the 2 shades of yellow, and then I added red. And I think this time I'm just going to put just the 2 shades of yellow on the sun, and then the rays I'm going to do in the orange and red. And then the outer part I'm going to do the same thing where I did the purple and the black and the cobalt. Okay, so before we start dyeing this, I'm going to close this out. So let's see here. We got Emily King at 65. So I'm going to close that out here in just a second. So if there's any higher bids, go ahead and place them now. So 65 going once, 65 going twice, 65 going 3 times. Okay, sold to Emily King at 65. Oh, isn't that the sun? No, the one that I just closed out now is the fire orbs. I was just talking about the Sun Tapestry in relation to this, but this here is the one that we just closed. This was the 3rd bid, the fire orbs, and that one is going to Emily King for 65. Thank you for everybody that's bidding. Like I say, I'll post this link in here, but I think, Emily, you remember how to pay, but here's the link so that you have easy access to it. And then, like I say, I will go ahead and get all of these signed and sent out to everybody who won on them. Thank you guys for bidding. Okay. Gwen, I love those towels. I just washed my tie-dye. Yeah, these towels, they do fun, and they just keep changing. Each time I do another tie-dye, they've changed just a little bit more. I have fun seeing what they do. Yes, sir. Yes, okay. Thank you, Emily. And thank you guys all for bidding. I appreciate you being here and just hanging out with me and asking questions. I do look forward to these hangout sessions every week. So what I'm going to start with is, like I say, I'm going to dye from just the top side to start with, like I did the other one. And I'm going to start with my lighter yellow first. So we're going to go with the lemon yellow. And I'm going to go just above the line just a little bit, just because I want my yellow sun to kind of glow into my rays just a little bit. And then the rays I'm going to dye in the orange and red up here. But it's going to have a little bit of extra glow from the sun there. So sometimes I like to overlap my colors just a little bit for interest. And I do have one more Sun Tapestry that I want to do, and it's probably going to be an inclined ice dye. But I had somebody asking me after last week's thing about other ways of dyeing it. And as I was describing to him, he had a kind of a thought about overlapping the colors. And as I was describing how I would do it, I just kind of got excited about it. So I decided I would probably do one more. So I might end up setting up and doing another Sun Tapestry number 4, next week. And it'll be an ice dye, inclined ice dye. And I'm going to layer the colors in there a little differently. So anyway, we're going to keep on dyeing this. I go to launch links to pay. Yes. Yeah, if you click on launch links, that one that I just posted up there, then let's see, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's the 6th one down. It says Mr. Tie-Dye donation link. And you can just go in there and pay for it and just add $7 onto your total. And that'll be for shipping. The other way you can do it is send me a message with your email and I can send you an invoice. So just whatever works the easiest for you. Do you have a suggestion for sizes of practice pieces? I have 8 yards of PFD and thinking oversized fat quarters. Or yeah, that sounds like a nice size. I will sometimes practice on, or I practiced on bandanas, and that's about that size. But the problem is if you're practicing on one type of fabric and then you move to a different type of fabric, sometimes the dye flows a little differently. So in your case, you can practice on the 21 by 21 just to see how the dye flows. And then when you're ready to start making the bigger pieces, you're working on the same kind of fabric, so the dye is going to flow the same way. So that's a smart way to go about it. Okay, now I'm going to put some orange down for my sun rays here. And I'm going to go ahead and color right over top of the yellow that I put out here. So that's just going to change that orange just a little bit. Oop, I got some goop building up in my orange here. That's one of the colors that seems to do it. If it settles for too long, it'll build just a little bit of a thick goop up there. I've seen it leave just a little bit of a darker mark, but it really doesn't seem to affect anything. So I usually will just shake it up, and as long as it comes out all right, doesn't clog up my nozzle, then it's fine. If it does clog my nozzle, then what I'll do is either run it through a filter again, or I'll put it back in the cup and blend it some more. So let's see here. I think he has PayPal, or you can just email and send an invoice. Yes. Like I say, there's links on the launch links tab that I just posted to either pay directly or send me an email. There's, I think, 2 or 3 places you can email me through there. Add $7 to whatever your bid was for the shipping and handling. Thanks. I noticed the difference between t-shirts and PDF cotton fabric. I'm still learning many of the differences. Yeah, there's each fabric, just the dye just flows differently, so you can have a great variance. So sometimes practicing on the thing that you're going to be dyeing is the best way to go about it. Because otherwise you get all practiced up and ready to go, and then you break out something different and it doesn't flow the same way. Okay, Sarah, thank you for stopping by. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody here. But I'm going to just finish this one up, batch it, and then we're going to close this out here. But thank you for stopping by, and maybe we'll see you next week. Okay, so I'm going to add another layer of lemon yellow here, and then I'm going to take a peek at the bottom after I add another layer of orange. Whenever I'm putting more than one color on, I like to get a couple layers on before I add the darker color, just to make sure that it comes out even, because sometimes with it folded over like that, you get sections that are darker than others. So that's looking good. I need to come up to my line just a little bit more here. But I think the yellow is good, so I'll probably add my darker yellow there, but I'm going to add a little bit more orange up here before I add a darker color on there. And this one I'm just kind of poke that bottle down into the creases a little bit just to try to get the dye to soak in further. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to do a little sprinkling of my darker yellow. Like I said, I don't saturate it all the way. And then we're going to take a peek at the orange. Okay, yeah, that orange really helped on the line there, so I'm going to go ahead and add darker color. And I'm also going to set this down just a little bit back, just so that I have more dry towel here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that is Emily. You're asking how do I pay or how do I PM you? Let's see. If you click on, let me post the link again. Okay, if you want to private message me on Facebook, you click on the launch links, and then you can just scroll all the way to the bottom, and that's the messaging over on Facebook. And that'll just come directly to, I think, my MrTieDye. Oh, Andrew, okay. I must have missed that, sorry. Andrew, you're up. Okay, so now I'm going to add some red to my orange here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go lightly on it. I'm not going to coat the whole thing. And now I'm going to put another coat of the lemon yellow on. And that sometimes will help push this other yellow down in there further. And let it flow a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing with the orange over top of the red. And then I'm going to go ahead and now that I got these going good, I'm going to start adding my other colors on out here. So I'm going to start with the plum. Let's see. Andrew, I won the bid at 60. I believe so. I would have to go back and look through it, but if that's what your top bid was, then that's where you won it at. Okay, and I decided I want my orange rays to shine out just a little bit further, so I'm going to go past my line, and I put my purple right there. I like the way that purple and orange mix into a nice brownish tone, so I'm just going to kind of add just a little bit of extra out here. I don't want a lot, but just a little bit, so that's going to, where those kind of touch, I'm just going to have just that little bit of darkening. And that's something that I just kind of like, so we'll see how it goes. So I got some purple on there. Now I'm going to put my cobalt. Oh, this isn't true cobalt. I still haven't mixed up a new batch yet, but I had some from last time. I added some sapphire blue in, and then I added some black in just to darken my blue up. And then I'm going to put black over top of this. we're going to add some black in here. And then I'm going to go down over top of this orange that I put on there and just bring my sun right down in there. And that, I just like the little bit of mixing of the colors, the layering, just how it mixes and blends together. So I just keep going back and forth and layering a little bit of extra dye in different places. And that's just kind of a personal choice for me. Sometimes I plan it out, sometimes I do it just in the moment. And as you've seen, sometimes it happens accidentally, so I just kind of go with it. Okay, I'm thinking I got good saturation going on here, so I think I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. And I'm going to flip my towel over so I have a clean, dry spot again. Oh, I didn't flip it. If you guys are trying to hook up on Facebook, one of you can post a link to your Facebook page in the chat box if you need to. That way the other person can click on it. And then I think at some point after that connection happens, if you want, you can then delete your message back out. Okay, so I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow, but my lemon yellow I think is saturated pretty good here. And then I'm going to add my orange in here. And then our purple and our blues out here are black too. And looks like, oh, we've gotten, it's 4 o'clock now. We've been going for a while. Sorry about that, guys. I get carried away and lose track of time. And thank you guys for hanging out with me. It looks like we still have 57 people here watching. So I appreciate that. You guys can ask some more questions if you need. Let's see, it looks like maybe, oh, it looks like you guys found each other on Facebook. I noticed that the place where you get your tapestries fun recommends washing them with a bit of oil. Recommend staying and improves. Do you do that? Love your work, bro. Somebody said that they noticed at Sunshine Joy there is a message there about washing your tapestries with the Castelline oil. I think they had a batch that came in that had some sort of a treatment on it. I don't know that they still have that issue going on. I think some people were washing them, some weren't. I do just a regular pre-wash on my tapestries that I get from them. I use hot water and I put some Synthropol in my water. And I just do a regular hot wash and then I soak in soda ash for 20 minutes and I haven't had any issues with them dying. So that's all I got to say on that. I do have another order of them coming in, so maybe it'll be that I'll have to check the new ones to see if I have any issues with them, and if I do, I'll let you guys know that. But at this point, I mean, it could be that I'm using some of their older tapestries, but at this point I haven't had any issues with the Sunshine Joy tapestries. So you're welcome that. And you're welcome. I'm glad to be of help in that. Okay. Put some more red on my sunbeams. And then some orange over top so that it soaks in more. And then I'm going to put darker yellow, my daffodil, that has a little bit of a lemon twist in it. And then more lemon yellow over top of that. And this just helps kind of blend the colors a little bit, helps them soak in kind of together. I just want to try to achieve as even saturation, since those are folded over in quarters, as I can. But I think that's going to be good right there. I'm going to let this soak in some, and I'm going to check it to see. But if there's any more questions, you guys can ask them right now, but I'm going to be closing this out soon. It's 4:11 here in Oregon, so I know if Saucy Mare is still around, she's probably, I think that was after 1 o'clock or so for her. But yeah, I know it's getting late, and everybody's got to get on to their tie-dye or fixing dinner or something. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. We got through 3 tapestry auctions. It sounds like there might be some discussion going on between Andrew and Emily about the tapestries that they won. So I guess I'll let you guys work that out however you want. Just let me know, and we'll get them sent out to the proper people. But this one here is going to be good right here. I'm going to, well, let me peek in here real quick. Yeah, that's looking really good. Like I say, when you see the dye already coming through, that's usually a good indication that you have good saturation there. I think the only place that I had any white spots showing a lot was right here along this line. So I'm just kind of poking my cuticle pusher in there just to let some of that dye soak in. And I think I'll run one more strip of dye right along that line. And then we're going to call it good right there. So let's see. I got the radio wave to fold. Awesome. Let's see. My favorite part of Wednesday. Yes, mine too. Need to go spin out some shirts. Sweet. Your little avatar in the bottom right of the screen looks like he could be a Simpsons character. Yes, I had somebody draw that for me that wasn't Simpsons. Futurama with Bender. That's the style, but yeah, it does look Simpson-ish. But yeah, I had somebody draw that. It was on one of those Fivers or something like that, so they made that up for me and sent it. Obviously, it was before I had my beard. Might have to have a new one made. Do you go live every Wednesday? Yes, I have for the last I think 6 or 7 Wednesdays now, and I'm probably going to try and continue this all the way through the shutdown, and then even after that I'm going to try to keep on doing these Wednesday sessions. They might not be every Wednesday at some point, but I try to put out the word on YouTube here, and then I post over on my different Facebook pages trying to let as many people know. So if you subscribe to my channel and you click the little bell, then you should get notifications. Sometimes I don't post the link of my upcoming video until Tuesday, but I usually try to get that done over the weekend just so people know that yes, I have a new one coming out. And I usually try to figure out what my tapestry is going to be, and then that's when I post it. And sometimes I have to wait until I get inspired before I know what I'm actually tying for this Wednesday. I'm so glad you live stream, because before I found your channel I hated Wednesdays. Oh, well, I'm glad to turn your Wednesdays around for you. I am moving towards other events planned for surprising days. Sweet. I'm glad it coincides with your other things. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Make sure that you tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, your uncle, your brother, your sister, all your loved ones that you love them, that you miss them. If it's possible for you to call them or go see them, do that, but also maintain your social distancing as necessary for safety reasons. And I say peace, love, light, and laughter out to everybody. Namaste. I love you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And we will, let's see, what color gray do you recommend? I usually just water down my black. Actually, I don't water down the black. I usually will fill up the bottle like almost all the way full with plain water. And then I add just a little bit of black in there. And then I test a drop on white paper towel. And that's how I make my grays. So I take my black that's already mixed up and just add just a tiny bit into water. And the more you add, of course, the darker your gray is going to get. So thank you guys. Can't wait to see the results. Yes, I'm looking forward to the results too. Okay, peace out, everybody. Love you guys.